I knew my voice sounded low. My mic was not on. Let's see, statement of publication, please, Jessica.
Take notice that this regular meeting of the mayor and council being held this 13th day of December 2021 has been advertised and posted in accordance with Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Conti.
Here.
Delina.
Here.
Enriquez.
Here.
Mar.
Here.
Novak.
Here.
Roberts.
Here.
And Council President, approval of prior minutes of the mayor and council.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that we approve the following minutes as listed on the agenda.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Delina.
Yes.
Conti.
Yes.
Enriquez.
Yes.
Mar.
Yes.
Novak.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
At this time, we have two presentations and proclamations to be given to both of our councilmen on my left and on my right. Ladies, you have. So, gentlemen, do we want to go to the front? You're good right here. You're awfully, you have a bow tie. You are. So we'll start with Council President Delina. So it is my honor to present to you, Kevin, for your distinguished service rendered as member of the Sayreville Borough Council. That, as mayor, I have to say that as council president, it's been an honor to serve with you, but more importantly, just as a councilman, when you first came aboard, you have done tremendous things for our town. I'm so grateful for that, and I'm so grateful for the progress that we now have as a result of your leadership. And I know that you are not going to be far away from us, I hope, and I hope that you'll continue to be a champion for the important things that Sayreville deserves. So thank you. And I will pass this over to you. Councilman Damon Enriquez, now that we all know how to say your name appropriately and correctly, that was a little crazy in the very beginning. I will once again read the plaque and your award. So this plaque is presented to Damon Enriquez for his distinguished service rendered as a member of the Sayreville Borough Council from 2019 to 2021. As mayor, I cannot say enough about you, Damon. You have been at every single rec event, either as a parent or as a councilman or both, and a coach. You have served our town extremely, extremely well and very proudly. And it's been an honor to sit up here. It's an honor to get involved in so many great discussions. And I have to say, for people that do not know, Damon has always watched and has been the most fiscally responsible council person that I have seen. He looks at those pennies and he questions every single one of them. And I do believe that our town is also much better. The progress we've made forward with both of you hopefully will continue, and you're not going far either. I know we're gonna see on that blue field constantly and other things. So I will leave it to the council now to add any additional remarks at this point to both of our councilmen. Before I leave it,
Oh, boy, sure.
ladies first.
Yeah, as one of the most recent additions to this panel, I know after 2 years now, it's not an easy job, and I just want to thank you guys for showing me the ropes, and I've learned a lot from you and your calm demeanor, which is necessary up here. So best wishes for the future, guys, and thank you for your service.
Let somebody else do it.
Oh.
Councilwoman Roberts.
So, Kevin, it was wonderful serving with you. I learned a lot. It really was great running into you at all of the events. That's really the only chance we get a chance to talk to each other, and I appreciate the guidance you've given during your time. And I know you have much more to offer. So I'm looking forward to see where that goes. Damon, my seatmate. A special place in my heart for Damon because he told me where to look and where to say for the procedural items and kept me in line for the first few meetings when I was really trying to get my sea legs for this. I couldn't have done it without you, and I know that there's a lot
to Councilman Conti and still give Councilwoman Novak just a few more minutes. Go ahead.
So guys, I do want to thank you. I'm, as the newest member and a member throughout COVID, you guys helped me a lot with things, you know, while I was home. You know, what do I do? Where's this? Where's that? And, you know, and your advice was very useful. It was very helpful. Your support was terrific. And just, you know, chatting about things and things for the town and different programs and, you know, whatever it was, I really do appreciate it. It helped me a lot. You know, so I appreciate that. Couldn't have done it without you. It was a tough year to have my first year, you know, so I really did appreciate that. You and everybody, but you know, obviously I'm going to miss you guys up here. And, you know, hopefully we'll still be able to do things together, and with your input, your tutelage, we'll still do some good things. You know, maybe you'll come here and make recommendations for the town and whatnot, and we'll work on some projects together. So I'm gonna miss you guys, and I thank you.
So gentlemen, you do know that it's, well, right after Councilwoman Novak goes, you two will have some time to talk as well. So Mary, are you okay?
You know, I've seen so many council people up here in all of my years, as everybody likes to say, I'm the oldest person up here. And these two guys really jumped right in. I've never experienced that before. Excuse me? Yeah. You really, I mean, Damon, when we lost Jerry, it was emotional for everybody. That guy down there jumped in and he took over a lot of the roles of director down there and helped with everybody. And of course, his kids were so darn proud of him all the time. You see his kids and they're smiling from ear to ear. And I mean, that was not an easy thing to do. And then all he went through interviewing people and working so hard on that. And you really saved us with recreation, because recreation is so big in this town. I mean, you can see with our Christmas parade, all that pent up, we need to do this. It was really wonderful. And Kevin, you were probably the best council president I've ever worked with. You went from this young single guy to, he got married, he bought a house, he sold a house, had a baby, bought another house, expecting another baby, all in a few years that I've known you. It's, and you still managed to do all of this, as well as, you know, your job with Middlesex County College, and you were always there to answer me whenever I wanted to speak to you about something or get your advice. I'm really gonna miss you guys. But I know, like everybody said, you won't be far away. If not, I'll just keep calling you. I want you guys to have a Merry Christmas, and think of us. I love you.
All right, gentlemen, did you want to go first, Kev?
You could go first.
Go ahead, Kev.
So over the last 3 years, it's been a fun ride from beginning to end. You know, I've always had my heart in this, and I've always tried to do whatever is best for this town. I moved here, I'll take this off so you guys see my face. I moved here back in 2014 with my then girlfriend, who's now my wife. You know, not expecting to get into politics, but as a Delina, it's kind of a rite of passage, you know, all the way dating back to my grandfather. So, you know, when I first got my feet wet in it, you know, attending Democratic organization meetings, and you know, eventually having being able to run for council, they couldn't have paired me with a better running mate than Damon. You know, Damon and I, when we first started running, you know, we formed a friendship. Now, over those last 3 years, we formed a brotherhood, and it's a relationship that to me is, you know, won't end today or on December 31st. You know, Damon's a fun guy to go out with and have a few beers with and play golf with. He's a monster on the golf course. You know, some balls go left, some go right. About 30% of them will go straight, but when he does hit them straight, he's good to play in a golf outing with because he hits it about 320 yards. I can't say that about myself. But everyone up here, it's been a pleasure working with you. You know, and we've done some great things over these last 3 years. I feel, you know, when I teach political science at the college and I teach a state and local government class, and it said local government should be ran effectively and efficiently. that is basically the definition of of the class I teach, the lesson learned at the end of the day. So, and I think that that holds true for what we've done here in Saraville. I think that all of us together, collectively, along with the mayor, Jess and Nicole and Mike and the rock star over there, Mr. Frankel, I think that all of us together have worked effectively and efficiently to make sure that this borough is headed in the right direction. And I want to say, I think, this is my own doing that, not my own doing, but my own belief that the borough is better off now than it was 3 years ago with the work that all of us have done up here. So I want to say thank you to everyone for all of your guidance and your support. And I want to wish Christian, I see him back there, and Eunice, I want to wish you guys the best of luck. My advice to you would be just sit back and listen for a little bit and use your resources. You have a lot of resources up here. You have a lot of good resources. You have a lot of smart people to learn from. And then, when you feel like you're ready, then you can, step right in and get to it like we did. So with that said, I want to wish everyone a happy holiday or a Merry Christmas. Don't need to be politically correct. Merry Christmas, and if you celebrate anything other than Christmas, happy holidays. And God bless everyone, God bless our troops, and God bless Saraville and the USA.
He did that on purpose to you. He got, he's
Wow,
hard to
Kev.
follow.
Oh, wow. Maybe I should have went first.
I told you. Oh, I forgot to mention that, this is, to me, this isn't a goodbye. It's just, I'll see you later. So.
Yeah, exactly. How could I follow that? You really can't. Ditto. Nah, but like Kevin was saying, I do feel that too, Kev, that I do feel that this town is better off now than it was 3 years ago. I think a lot of people here put in a lot of hard work. I'm a little sentimental, so I'm going to try and get through this quick. It is going to be hard to walk away from this. This is something I know me and Kevin, many calls. It was a lot of hard work, a lot of feeling, a lot of sentiment went into this. I'm gonna end it now. I just want to thank everybody. I mean, like I only worked with you guys 1, 2 years, 3 years, but it was an honor and privilege. And I want to thank you ladies and Dan, oh God, how many times I call you. But I really like to thank everybody here. It was a fun ride. Thank you.
Well, gentlemen, the ride isn't ending. We've got a meeting. So put the seatbelt back on and let's continue to move forward with tonight's agenda. And thank you guys so much. We've really been through a lot. COVID, I think, has put us all as elected officials in a position that no other politician, elected official could ever say. We've lived through some of the toughest times that the entire world has seen. And we are going to forever be a part of that together. And Saraville made it through what I hope is just the worst of COVID. Hopefully it will not get worse, but without this collective body up in front of us, I think our town would not be in the current position that we are. And I think we're going to continue to be stronger each and every day because they are not going anywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now going to have a presentation by Medicare Advantage plan with Aetna again. Who do we have with us today? Tom is with us, and Michelle, come on up. Unless you want to stay there, Michelle. Just Tom? Okay. Hi, Tom.
I have to say, it's not just Tom. Without Michelle, none of this happens. I want everybody to know that.
I tried to bring her up, I know.
So good evening, everybody. Echo the councilman's refrain here. That's a tough act to follow up here. Don't really go talk about Medicare Advantage. So congratulations to both of you, by the way. So I'm Tom Fletcher from Reliance Insurance, to refresh your memories. And the last time I spoke to you, we were talking about a proposal for Medicare Advantage. And with Dan's help, we had several meetings with retirees and employees and talked about the merits of Medicare Advantage and received some feedback, some good, some not so good. And so our intent with this proposal was never to cause consternation or anxiety or anything like that. We want to work with the borough. So we, in concert with the Central Jersey HIP, kind of did a pivot and came up with a proposal to empower the retiree to elect whether they want to go into Medicare Advantage or not. It's going to be solely up to them. So what we're going to do is send out a communication, it's assuming we get the approval from the council to do so in January, advising that the town is going to implement Medicare Advantage, but we're going to move that effective date from 3/1 to 7/1. And we're going to include in that letter a provision that if the employee or retiree wants to opt out of a Medicare Advantage implementation, they can do so on their own volition. Just going to send a checkbox on this letter, send it back to us, and we will not implement Medicare Advantage on their behalf.
So just to clarify, you don't have to opt in to opt out.
No, you have to opt out. True. So with that said, though, there are some complexities to opt in. It's still an active participation by the employee. We need some information from the retiree, specifically their Medicare ID card, which has a unique number that identifies them. So there will be an active opt-in for every employee too. So we'll have to make a reach out to them, whether they do it or not, and then we can remind them that they do have the advantage. If they want to opt out, they can.
So everyone is opting in by default?
Yes, but we will not start the implementation until we get everybody's records in place. So I don't want to badmouth, you were just talking about the government, Councilman. I don't want to badmouth the federal government, but once you start something, you get it in place with the federal government, it's very difficult to undo. So we want to make sure we have all our ducks in order, that the people that are opting in are truly opting in, and they have to supply that ID card to do so. So they will be consciously doing that. And for those people who want to opt out, they will have a form and it will be sent back to us, and we will not implement that on their behalf. So we thought that was a reasonable compromise for everybody. It's now empowering the retiree to make that decision on their own volition, and hopefully that will resolve all the issues with regards to the Medicare Advantage proposal.
And Tom, you'll give them a clear idea of the cost if they opt out?
There's no additional cost or anything to the employee. The employee does, or the retiree doesn't pay any monies towards their retiree coverage anyway, so, yeah.
I have one question, because at the meeting on the 7th, there was some ambiguity as to if somebody opts in and finds that they are not happy, can they at the next year opt out?
Yes,
Yes.
and that was the answer was, if you recollect,
I mean,
Councilwoman.
first they said no, but then by the end of the meeting, you were saying yes.
So they can opt, I'm gonna get my vernacular right. They can opt out of opting in. Does that make sense to you, right? However, the CMS has some stringent dates that you have to hit.
Yep.
So they would have to do, probably for a January 1st effective date for 2023. We'll probably have to have that process started in September to finish in October. So that's the only thing that was hanging that up.
And if there was any, the letter will state, I mean, I do have a copy of the letter, but it turns out, I think it was signed by somebody that's no longer with the company, so we were gonna get another signature on that.
But
A
equal
letter
to or
that's-
better than that, yeah.
Yeah, equal to or better than.
Yes.
And that
So
will-
again, we
I just wanna make sure that everybody that's getting this stuff understands exactly everything.
right. And so once you opt out, you don't have to opt out every year. We're not going to include you back in until you tell us to do so. So if you opt out for 2022, the HIF will assume they're going to opt out for 2023 as well, unless the retiree tells us otherwise.
We would have to get in touch with you at that
Yes.
point.
Are there any additional questions?
So with all the opting in and opting out, is there a point where you can't switch over again?
You have to do it at open enrollment, no, but you could, yes.
So it's basically two parallel plans that.
Right, right, right.
Thank you.
Any additional questions? Go ahead. Okay. Is there a motion to move forward with this as it is
I
being
just-
described?
Is it possible? I mean, I know there were some things that I wasn't sure of. You know, I asked the question about the skilled nursing care facility. There are people that are in a traditional plan, and they have unlimited. And in the new plan, it's 120 days cap. I had a few questions. Is that a annual cap, a lifetime cap?
Annual, it's per admission.
Okay, so per admission, if you're admitted twice in
So
the
if
same
there's
calendar year?
I can't speak off the top of my head what the gap between admissions has to be. I want to say it's 60 or 90 days. If there's a gap, then the clock starts over again.
Okay.
So however, you just have to understand though, the skilled nursing facility, but I don't want to get into the weeds here on this. Skilled nursing facility
I
is,
realize it's different than a
yeah,
nursing home, I
yeah,
got
it's
that.
not custodial care, yeah.
It's just that right now, anybody that's in traditional has unlimited. Now, since this is supposed to be equal to or better, are the people that have it now unlimited
Yes.
going to still have it unlimited?
Yes, so the HIP will make accommodations for that, to make that an unlimited benefit, yes.
Because I would, we will have the opportunity to see the material before it goes out to the
Yes,
retirees?
we're gonna funnel it through Dan's office, yes.
And this, you will be sending them out sometime in January?
Yes.
And you will expect it back by March?
Sometime in March, yes. Yeah.
And then it will actually take effect sometime in July?
7/1, yes.
And this is just, and the only people that are gonna be notified of this, other than the people that are aware of
Those
it?
people who consciously
65
elect.
and older?
Yep, yes, and those people who consciously elect to go into the Medicare Advantage will only be the ones that are going into that.
And as the people retire and reach the age of 65, they will all be notified of this?
Yes,
They won't just automatically be enrolled?
no.
They have to opt out every year, there's just not,
No, one time
One
they
time.
opt out, and they will just assume that opt-out will be on, for,
so then they'll be able to keep their same plan for however,
Exactly.
okay.
You will be able to opt in and out
That's for
once a year or
once a year, yeah, during
whatever
the
that date is. But if you don't notify them, whatever your current status is will remain. You would have to take the option then to go after them. Unless you were just turning 65, then you, naturally, because you need their social security information, and
Right, well, yeah,
you
yeah,
would be
but-
reaching out to them
Yes.
as they turn 65.
Okay, any other questions? We need a motion on the table for this in order to move forward with the plan?
I make a motion, we move forward with the plan.
Is there a second?
Second.
okay?
Sounds like we got 2 seconds. We need a roll call.
Councilpersons Enriquez,
Yes.
Conte,
So I'm going to abstain from this. I work for a payer, and matters like this, I need to abstain from.
Delina,
Yes.
Mar,
No.
Novak.
Can I get a legal advice? My husband. These benefits are my benefits. What I was being told that I was gonna have to do, I had to abstain.
Roberts,
Because we still have the existing and we have a new, so there's options in and out, I say yes.
so we have 3 yeses and 1 no, and 2 abstain.
It passes.
Okay, thank you
Okay,
very much.
thank you very much for all of your hard work and for your presentations both times. And I appreciate you working and sitting down with everybody to make sure that the plan was understood and giving us the options for our retirees.
Thank you very much, our pleasure.
Thank you very
Happy
much, Tom.
holidays, everybody.
Thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move on with the remainder of our agenda at this point. Is there any need for executive session today? No, Mayor. Thank you very much. We're going to move to old business then. Public hearing on the following ordinances.
Ordinance number 549-21, an ordinance fixing the salaries of certain borough officials, officers, and employees for the years 2021 to 2025 as commensurated in the PBA Local 98 bargaining agreement.
And this is a public hearing, so at this time, I will open to the public for any and all questions regarding ordinance number 549-21. If you have any questions, please step forward and state your name and address for the record. Yes, please, sir.
My
This
name's
is-
Chuck Kelly, I'm a police retiree. And I guess I'm the spokesman for the retired police officers. Regarding this ordinance, I do have a question. The Aetna Medicare Advantage that you just agreed to implement is covered by contract language. The contract just ended, it was just negotiated, and there was no negotiations regarding the inclusion of Medicare Advantage during contract negotiations, and I'd be interested to know why they waited to implement it after negotiations were over.
So I was not a party to the negotiations in reference to the PBA contract, so I will turn that question over to our business administrator. I did not negotiate when I'm on that contract, but I believe one of the things I will say is this is not Medicare Advantage, that's correct? This is not the Medicare Advantage plan.
That's correct.
That, I know that was one of the points that Mary had brought up a couple of times because the gentleman that just spoke, what they called their plan was Advantage, and I think that was one of the things that became questionable and a little confusing for even us up here, because we immediately put our minds to the Medicare Advantage, not realizing that this is not Medicare Advantage, it's a totally different plan, just happens to have the same name. Our recommendation to them was change the name of your plan, because I can understand why our retirees would be concerned, because you're looking at the Medicare Advantage plan versus what this plan was. That's just what I had learned from the previous time they came up to speak, but I will turn your other question over to Dan.
So if I understand, you wanted to know why the present health plan of the present officers was not negotiated in for retirement? Is that what you're asking, or?
No, the contract is quite clear. When you retire, you get specific health benefits.
Correct.
Okay, and those benefits are up for negotiation, and you can't change your benefits unless you modify the benefits for current employees.
We didn't change, we didn't modify.
You certainly did. You're changing the plan.
No,
Yeah,
we're not
you are.
changing.
You're going from Medicare traditional to Medicare Advantage in a private company.
No, sir. Okay, I respectfully disagree, okay? We're giving, I don't know the question you're asking. You're asking a question about a contract that was signed by that was negotiated by the PBA, correct?
No, there's a provision in the contract
Okay.
regarding retiree benefits that was not negotiated.
Well, then why didn't the PBA
It was
negotiate,
not-
why did the PBA not negotiate that then?
Well, how do I know?
How do I know then?
Well, because you're on the other side of the
Well,
table.
on the other side of the table of
Yeah, I think you know
negotiating.
exactly- excuse me, just let me get my paperwork here. Article 14, Article 12 says the present practice regarding insurance for retirees shall continue. Now, shall continue is Medicare traditional, not Medicare Advantage. So just the name and the coverage got changed, and there's specific language in the contract that says that coverage shall continue. You can't provide a different name to it, because the coverage is the coverage. That's number one. And you're still going to pay for everything. And it says, in the event the insurance for bargaining unit employees is modified, the same modifications shall apply to retirees. Mr. Frankel, as you know, the borough prevailed in a grievance earlier this year for the $10 increase copay for retirees. Do you recall that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that was a result of the modification for the current employees to $10 for copay. And because of this language, it fell to the retirees for that $10 copay. And the PBA filed the grievance, and the borough prevailed on that. Now, you did not modify the coverage for current employees. You only modified coverage for retirees.
and that was not negotiated, and the language is quite clear in this contract. So my question to you is, if I remember what you said at the second meeting, I think was November 16th, you said you did not receive any direction from the mayor and council. You took this Aetna Medicare Advantage totally on your own. Is that correct?
I started the investigation on my own, yes, sir.
Okay. And you just, and when, I'm assuming that when you decided to do that, the PBA contract was not settled. And you had an opportunity to raise this issue, as did the PBA, but they chose not to do it, and yet there was a modification for retirees contrary to the language of the contract.
I don't know. Is this truly a modification, or don't they have the ability now, under the discussions with, who was that, Tom Fletcher, that if the retirees do not wish to change, that they do not have to? Isn't that what we
That's
just
correct.
agreed
That's what we
to?
just agreed to. So I don't know, I don't know what I don't know your issue.
We might have to set up a meeting with Labor Council, so that, with our union Labor Council.
Okay.
Because I understand what you're asking, I understand the language that you're referencing, without having been a part of the way that the negotiations had taken place. And listen, I'm a huge supporter, everybody knows when it comes to collective bargaining, that is something that I hold near and dear and believe that it needs to be looked at and done appropriately in the right way. Based on what I heard, it seems like no modification will take place if you choose not to, that your current health care that you currently have would not be modified if you chose not to. I believe that we're at a point now, unless I misunderstood what was being said a few moments ago, that you now have the option to go into the Advantage plan being offered through our, what is it again?
Central Jersey, if.
But it's not the Medicare Advantage. It's an Aetna Advantage plan, but it's not the Medicare Advantage plan that I know I've gone through with my grandparents and I've researched and stuff in every way, shape, or form. I think that's where a lot of the disconnect is coming from. I like the negotiations and the modifications that were made just now and that the council voted on, because you can hold on to what you had unless you chose to turn around and go on the other side. The contract language that you're referencing, I definitely think requires some attorney discussion. And I also think a little bit of discussion too with your PBA leadership as well. One of the things that I always said, and everybody knows I'm the vice president of the teachers union and I get contracts. I always wondered how you were still listed under the recognition clause, because I think that would frustrate me as retirees, knowing that you don't necessarily have a seat at the table in a lot of the things that you then eventually will have to live by. So that always struck me as, why does that happen? I can see a frustration. And I've spoken to union leadership from the PBA about that. So maybe that's another discussion that you guys can have, so that you don't have to, each time a contract comes up and you feel that you didn't have the representation, that it doesn't continue to happen. Kind of like saying, okay, we're happy at where we are, we've gotten everything that we can, but active members are negotiating for active members. They don't always see the plight of the retirees all the time at the table. So I always feel for you, because you live by whatever gets negotiated. Sometimes don't know what that is until after the fact.
And Mayor, though,
Does that make sense?
what you said earlier, though, I think they really, with the modifications, they sort of made it optional.
Right.
So you can stick with what you have, or you can go to that other plan. Either way, you can opt in, you can opt into it or opt out of it and keep it exactly the same. I think that was a nice revision, that it was, you can opt in if you want, no ramifications.
What I also thought was even better than that, which I appreciated, but the fact that they're allowing you to opt in, opt out, or opt in or opt out again, like they're giving you the option to make that decision more than once.
True.
Where a lot of places, it's gonna be like a one shot and done, like you signed it, it's over, you can no longer opt back in. It appears from what I had heard, unless I, didn't hear things appropriately, without penalty, they're allowing you to change and opt back in if you decide later on that, okay, I do want to go into that Aetna Advantage plan. I think it might actually be a very good benefit. I haven't seen anything so open-ended in a contract, in any type of contract negotiations, whether it was at the time after a contract was closed or during. But what do you say we set up a meeting? Well, I know you've had 600 meetings, but
Mayor, if I may make a suggestion, okay? The retirees are, at least the police retirees, not the regular AFSCME or SAMS retirees, are represented by an attorney or a union member, should be by an attorney or the president of the PBA. The president of PBA, if I'm correct, is supposed to negotiate in your contract for the PBA and PBA retirees. This is what I believe. I'm just saying, so if you could, okay, because right now, you've been very vocal and you deserve to be vocal, but negotiations on the contract was between the borough and the PBA, meaning PBA president and his officers. So may I suggest that you go through the PBA president, okay? Because right now, the lawyers and everybody has reviewed everything in reference to the contract. So if you can do that, and let's see if there's anything that if you feel has to be put in or whatever, the contract has been, an MOU has been executed, the contract physically has not been executed yet. Okay, so maybe that's the best way to do that. We have been advised by our labor attorney on certain ways to do this. So I would like it, not that I want to go into a lawyer's venue, but I think if you go through your PBA president, your present PBA president, and explain this issue and see if that's something that we could maybe add or something that makes you feel more comfortable, we can look at it. Is that fair?
It's a position.
It's a position that is,
That you're taking, but
Oh.
just, yeah, well, if I can, I'm not disagreeing with you, Dan. I'm just saying that's your position right now. But what I'm driving at is, and by the way, I want to thank you for including me in all of those meetings. And Michelle, did they leave? Oh, well, thank them for their presentation. During contract negotiations, you knew that you were undertaking this Medicare Advantage thing during contract negotiations. It was never brought up. The PBA would only bring it up if they suspected that you were looking into a different plan. Then it might have been open for a discussion. But it came about after the contract or the memorandum of agreement was signed or whatever the final deal was before you signed it. That's my objection, because it seemed like it wasn't transparent.
if that's an objection, if you think this was done nefariously, you're incorrect, okay? So I want to put that on record, okay? I just want to put it on record. Thank you. Thank you.
What'd you just put on record, Dan? I'm sorry.
He
Just
just,
repeat what you said.
it's, yeah, he's saying that it was not done nefariously. It wasn't done to be not transparent. What I think what Dan is trying to say is that him looking into this other plan, and again, it's not the Advantage, the Medicare Advantage plan, was not done to, in any way, shape, or form, should I say the word like usurp negotiations? Would that be a proper word to say? Or to not be transparent. I think that's what Dan is trying to
And
say.
let me
The
just
timeline of it may appear that way, but I don't think that is, I've known Dan long enough and.
And I wouldn't have called you either, okay, if I was doing it behind and wasn't doing it transparent, okay?
I can't hear you, Dan.
I would not have not called you if I was trying to do this not transparently or something like that. I just want to make sure, okay, this was a plan that I researched, looked into, I still believe is a better plan than you have now. That's my opinion. It's not your opinion, I understand that. It's just my opinion. It's a better plan. It also is a better increment savings to the borough, and that's what I was doing it for. That's it, period, at the end.
So one of the things that I'm also going to ask Dan, if you wouldn't mind, when Tom was up here speaking and he said that he would have a letter with much more detailed explanation as to the terms that the council has just voted to agree to. Let's see if we can get that document as soon as possible, so that way you can see what was put before us and what the council voted on. I think that's important. I think the ability to switch, keep, and not is to your benefit 100%, but these are your benefits. I want you to look at that. And I also think, once again, and I was not in the previous meetings where I believe, Mary, were you at all of those, where you were actually breaking apart the plans So that way you could see the differences between the coverages and the differences between what may or may not be covered under a new plan. I did find it rather impressive that they said in the event that somebody switched and something was not covered that was previously covered on the other plan, that is part of the language, which is impressive language, equal to or better than. Nobody would be denied those services because they have to abide by that language. That's legal and binding language. So that was very important, and I believe we were getting that letter also. So it gave you more power to argue if any of your members were declined some type of service that they received in the past. And I would fight for that. As the mayor, I expect that our contract and any deal or agreement we come into with a HIF or anybody else, that they abide by the terms in which we give to our employees and our retirees. That is that's very simple negotiations. That's what we have attorneys for.
Well, you should be aware that there's 71 or 73 current police retirees. And
I know.
And 51 of them are on Medicare. And I phoned 27 out of 51, because I wasn't going to call 51 guys. I didn't get one guy that wanted to make the change. There's been absolutely no problem with the Medicare traditional and the Aetna for the secondary. There's been no problem. So one of our questions is, if it's not broken, what are we fixing here? I just don't understand the option.
I think that part of that also is what we tax Dan with every single day as the business administrator, is to look at plans that we can offer the same amount of coverage for, but also remember that the burden of the cost of that plan is borne upon all of the residents and our taxpayers. So if there's a way that we can turn around and continue to provide the same amount of coverage to our retirees, but we can get that same amount of coverage where it does not cost the taxpayer as much, then that's his job. He has a responsibility to do that and to bring us that information. And I think that that's probably part of what happened here. But through the conversations, and I'm grateful that you came to the table. And yes, you do become as long as I've been here, I do consider you the spokesperson for the retirees. I'm sorry I gave you that title, whether you wanted it or not. But that is the dialogue that needed to happen in order to make the changes that we did.
Okay.
But
So
that
wait
is
for the
his
letter.
job.
We'll wait for the letter from Aetna?
Let's get that letter from Aetna, make sure that it is solid and it's appropriate and it's what we all understood. And then let's also continue to look at the differences. I will tell you, when there were changes made to even at the Board of Education levels, where people had choices to go between, a PPO plan or a POS plan, in the beginning, nobody wants to move. And I'm guilty of that too. I do not like changes, especially to healthcare, especially at this time. So I get it. That does not surprise me that the members don't want to change.
Right. And
That's-
the PBA never raised benefit modifications during contract negotiations. So that would lead me to believe that either it was non-existent, they had no intention of negotiating that, and it happened after, this all happened.
I understand what the
Okay, so-
timeline
so,
looks like,
you know,
yes.
From a timing aspect, I'm a little,
As-
I'm a little surprised at how it went down.
I would be standing at the microphone saying the exact same thing if I was in your shoes as a retiree representative or a union representative. I would, because of the way the timeline looks.
Right.
And until I got the answers that made me feel comfortable for my members, I would be doing the exact same thing that you're doing. So
And I'm not saying that this Medicare Advantage plan is a terrible plan. It could
Yeah.
turn out to be better than the plan we have now.
Right.
But this is the devil we know. We don't know the devil we're gonna get.
So Mayor,
that's
if I
exactly, and that's why I'm 100% understanding of where you are right now.
Right.
And then what happened with us is all of a sudden, after a year or two of that, people started to take it, and then they would talk to their friends and say, wow, this plan is actually pretty good, and it's, not what we thought. And then we saw switching and moving, not 100%, you never get 100%. But
Mayor,
I
But
do.
I
Man.
think it's a pretty good option. You can get in and out.
Yeah, I do like that. Honestly, I would be screaming a different, if I were you, I would be up here saying a whole different thing if that provision
Okay.
wasn't put in.
All right, thank you.
I had asked Mr. Frankel to provide a list of, we were told that 66 other departments in town are utilizing this plan, and he provided the list of the 66 towns in the state, and South River being one of them, so them being our direct neighbor. If you have any contacts there to speak to other retirees that are currently on the plan, I think that would be helpful.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Very much. Please, contact me, call me if you have any other questions.
We're here on the list.
Let me know how those meetings go. All right, thank you all. Next, yes.
Say something, this is strictly, I talked to all of the union representatives, and, the PBA contract, as we all know, is unique in that it specifically addresses retirees and medical benefits, and that it's supposed to be done on contract negotiation. Speaking strictly from, I like the idea that people would be able to go in and out, so for each individual, that's good, but from a standpoint of the union, it almost looks like the town circumvented the contract negotiations, and Dan said they loved this, and is now trying to negotiate with individual members, retirement members, because they're still members of the PBA, separately, without actually negotiating with the union. So I think that's the main thing here, but Sands and ASME does not have the same contract. So that was the big sticking point with the PBA, because of the PBA contract. They don't want to set a precedent here where, the town will just start negotiating with each individual member. I don't believe that's gonna happen. I don't think that that's why this was done the way it was done, but it is something that they are concerned about. That, it should be negotiated with the union as opposed to individual members. Being asked to negotiate the benefits there. That's what I have to say.
Okay. Anybody else wish to speak on this particular ordinance? Come on up.
Bill Gathering, for those of you up there that don't know me. I'm very happy to hear what you said, Mayor. I really appreciate that. I know it's coming from your heart. But when I was at the last meeting, it seemed very shaky from the insurance company's standpoint that you could opt out of this Medicare Advantage plan once you were in. They started talking, and Mary will bear this out. They started talking about federal regulations and timelines, and once you're in, if you could really get back out because the federal government might not let you. So the only thing I would ask is the borough attorney and everybody put their head together and make sure that opt-out clause is rock solid, that you can get out once you get in.
That's why I called for that letter. That's exactly why I called for that letter. Let's look at it, make sure that it is sound exactly the way we understood it to be.
Right, because they were very, like I said, the insurance company themselves was very hesitant to say, yes, you can get out, because there may be federal regulations that prohibit it, or this or that. So if we're gonna tell people you can get out after you get in, we gotta make sure that that is truly there, okay?
Absolutely.
And
Thanks,
Merry
Bill.
Christmas to everybody.
Merry Christmas. Anybody else wish to speak on ordinance number 549-21? Okay, I think that takes care of everybody. At this point, then, I will entertain a motion. Administration and Finance, Councilman Roberts, please.
I move the public hearing be closed, the ordinance adopted on second and final reading and advertised according to law.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Roberts,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Delina.
Yes.
Enriquez.
Yes.
Mar.
Yes.
Novak.
Yes, oh, no, abstain.
No, abstain.
I wrote abstain here and I forgot to say it.
Staying on,
I wrote abstain.
this is just the contract.
The salary.
This is the contract. not here.
That was for 549-21,
Oh, because it's part of,
captain's salary.
it's okay, Dan. We can't take back the conversation, we already had it. So, but I understand why they asked that. It is part, in their mind, it's part of a contract language, so I understand why they spoke on that. Ordinance number 550-21, Jess.
An ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 13 of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Saraville to amend Section 313-4.3 receptacle for municipal solid waste.
Anybody from the public wish to speak on ordinance number 550-21? Please stand.
Now, the people with 3 cans, are they still allowed to keep 3 cans?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
This is just moving for their grandfathers, yes. Hi, Karen. Name and address, I know.
Good evening, Mayor. Karen Bieberts, 9 Burlington Road, Berlin. Good evening, councilmen and women and professionals, and Merry Christmas, and I hope you all have a good and Happy New Year. I have a question regarding this ordinance. Can I ask what this is stemming from? The ordinance, what led this to come about? The restriction on the garbage cans?
So I don't remember
Residentially.
who started this conversation or how far back it goes.
It's waste. Waste.
Understood. I mean, we haven't had limitations before, and I didn't know if I didn't realize, and I haven't heard, that there has been a problem with an over.
You have more residents, there's more waste, there's more pickups, there's more trucks that are breaking down, there's just a lot of things that go along with saying, and we feel that through properly recycling and properly putting your garbage where it's supposed to be put into receptacles, that it would be, it's for a household.
Didn't Elise also take a look at it? Because remember, we pay for every pound, ton, ounce of garbage that we do collect. That's part of what happens when you go to Fort Grumpy. I know, I've rode in the trucks and I went on the heap. So there is a cost for garbage to the residents because we get charged for that as a borough, every single pound that gets put onto that dump. Did Elise do a breakdown of what that tonnage cost was and then what the idea was behind those individuals that may or may not be, that have that number of receptacles?
More of the people have two seem to be actually commercial than it is more residential. We had given way back many years before, there are businesses that actually we pick up their waste with more than 2 receptacles.
Okay. My concern is that if the problem, maybe with extra garbage, and let's also keep in mind that we just went through a pandemic as well, where we had more people staying home in town, kids that weren't in schools, parents that were at their actual, locations where they worked, could have increased the garbage maybe in the last 2 years. Also, if it's an issue with the businesses, if like 75% of this problem is a business-related thing and maybe 10% for the residents, I don't understand why we're penalizing our residents. Because if you do drive through town, you don't see, at least to my knowledge or to my visual, haven't seen a lot of abuse. I mean, you tend to see more cans out in front of businesses. And I know that's changed throughout the years, having had been in a family business. I mean, at one point, the borough was picking up the dumpsters, and then, you can get the private cartage after they stop that service. But if this seems to be more geared toward businesses, I don't understand why the residents, and if you want to encompass, you said an increase of residents, they're all paying taxes as well. I don't understand why the residents are being penalized when it doesn't seem to be that abusive.
It's not just businesses, okay? It's residents too. There's a lot more. And then our recycling coordinator is trying to get and educate everyone to recycle more, which you've been doing a little bit better job. And you're right, people staying home, but the recycling, as you know, even from next year when we go from not even plastic bags that ShopRite's going to distribute to paper and garbage and waste, most towns are educating their residents about what can you recycle and what you're going to have is just call it dump, Edgeboro dump waste is what we're calling it. So it's educating. It's not just the commercial side; it's the residential side too. We're seeing a lot of cans that are out there and a lot of garbage to be picked up.
Okay, I mean, even though.
Councilman Delina, that was Public Works. Did you have anything? I don't remember if there was anything else, or even Mary,
Me or him?
or either one of you, because I know, like, when it comes to Public Works, I know you know everything.
I don't know if you want to know my response. When this first started, the businesses were still getting one dumpster. Taxes are the same for the businesses and the homeowners, so it was determined back then that every homeowner would be allowed to have 3 because that's equal to a dumpster. So we were trying to even out, the service that we were providing for a business as opposed to a homeowner. I really don't agree with this.
My question.
I think the 3 is a decent limit. I've heard, well, they're putting stuff in their garbage cans that should be put out on big garbage day. And I said, well, that's ridiculous. What difference does it make what day you put it out? It's going in that can. If I can put something big in that can and it's being picked up by one sanitation person and taken to the dump, it's a hell of a lot cheaper than being put out to the curb on big garbage day and have 3 people in a truck picking it up. And it's costing us the same amount to dump it in the dump, whether we do it on big garbage pickup. There may be some problems with people that don't recycle. I don't know how big of a problem that is, but I'm really not in favor of limiting it.
Another consideration perhaps is, oh, it's cold now, so we're not smelling garbage sitting outside. And we do start limiting people to, again, if the problems with the restaurants, maybe they, for food businesses or businesses, maybe they need to get a dumpster. But honestly, a community health concern by leaving garbage outside receptacles, waiting for your cans to get emptied. You know, you want to talk about increase of rats infestation and those kind of things. That would definitely be Board of Health concerns.
I actually
In
had
my
a
eyes.
neighbor who had extra bags and didn't have enough garbage cans, and they waited for the garbage truck to pass, filled the cans up again, and put them across the street to the people.
You know, again, we're all paying taxes here, and to have to go through that when maybe you are out at your job and you can't, and then to have to leave garbage refuse just laying there, especially in the warmer weather. Again, these are just some of the things I considered when I had thought this through the process. And of course, on a one-way street, like I live on a one-way street, and everybody puts their cans on my side of the road. So does the garbage guy come down the street? Not a subcontracted company. We actually have our own garbage collectors. And says, oh, Karen's got too many cans out there. I'm not picking. I would only hope that like the regular guy keeps going down the street if this becomes an issue, because everybody's garbage is literally lined up on my side
Well,
of the
I
street.
think what it
And I
is
have only up the
nobody's
street,
gonna
so.
take garbage cans away. It's just we're grandfathering in all of those individuals. We're just only giving out 2 now.
Nobody's really paying attention to what's actually out there. What will happen is if you come in to buy a can, because the first one the town gives to you, and they will replace them as they get broken. But if you want to buy another can and you already have 2 cans, they won't let you buy the 3rd can. That's what this is going to do.
That's,
The
yeah.
garbage men are not going to
Grandfathering
say
yet
there's
another
3
question.
cans at this.
Right.
No, that's,
Thank you, Mary.
At this point, is it, I thought when we first talked about this, probably a year or 2 ago, we were gonna allow 1 garbage can, the one the town gives, and for people to purchase 2 additional garbage cans and have 3 garbage cans.
That's the way it always was.
So, I mean, if, that's something I would like to see happen, the one that people receive, and then they're allowed to purchase 2 more.
well, that's different than what you guys voted
That's-
on, so.
I mean, to make it an ordinance
the
that isn't
ordinance-
enforced, you're telling me
What
it's
you
not
would
gonna
be-
be.
All right, I would like to
enforced.
table
This doesn't make
ordinance
sense to me.
550-21.
Second.
All right, roll call.
Councilpersons Delina.
Yes.
Conti.
So I'm voting to table it merely? Okay. Yes?
Enriquez.
Yes.
Mar. Novak.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
All right, there you go. Any other comments on that?
Thank you very much.
There you go.
We also spoke about the recyclables, possibly purchasing the cans that have the lids on them. I noticed that that's a problem around town, especially in the windy weather. They get blown over and they're small, and if you can't fill them to the top, then the excessive waste is going in the extra cans.
And I don't know if Solterra, the company that we currently use to pick up through the county, through the MCIA, if they have trucks that do that. I know I saw in other towns that they have garbage cans that they go around and pick up like that with the arms. So I don't know if that's something they offer, if that's something that could be looked into as well.
Elise has been trying to push that for years, where we would have a blue can, and we would deal with a company that would use, as some people lovingly called them back in the 90s, was the one on Bandits. And they, you know, and it would substantially decrease the garbage that floats around this town, because 9 times out of 10, if you put your recyclable out the night before, like they ask you to, it's not the recycling people that's picking it up. It's just blowing all over the place, and the can's empty before the recycling truck.
So
It's something you can ask Solterra about through their contract and see.
if I could just piggyback on something Dan had said earlier, I think tabling this is a good idea because there's a lot going on, and there was a county meeting about Edgeboro They're going to increase the height of Edgeboro 55 feet. And some of the questions I had during that meeting were, what are some other alternatives? Because it's just growing, and we know in Saraville, we look at that mountain all the time. And incinerator, they said, is off the table. But some of the other options they're looking into, as Dan mentioned, is reduction in trash reduction, more composting, other ways of reducing garbage. So I think these are some things we're going to have to consider in the near future, because that plan, the original plan in Edgeboro, will only get us to 2029, and the 55 additional height of that mountain of garbage is only going to get us to 2034. So we're going to have to find other ways to reduce the trash, not only to save money, but to stop that mountain from growing.
I know our community garden has talked about composting.
It's gonna be a lot of composting. It's gonna be one heck of a compost
But one
pile.
additional comment, I didn't know until I was up here, Elise had educated me. Every resident pays for recycling. Whether you recycle or not, we're charged for every resident to recycle. So if that doesn't encourage people to recycle, I think that's a good point. And that should be on our website, that should be on our social media promoting that.
And we did that
They
too, Elise.
occasionally have us dump our load, and they go through it. And if we have a certain percentage
We get charged.
of recyclables in with our garbage, we get fined.
We get fined for
So
that.
the taxpayer is then paying that fine,
Yep,
as well as paying to recycle for everybody. Every taxpayer pays for everybody in the town to recycle. There are people that aren't recycling, and then we can conceivably get fined too.
yep. So I think you can see now clearly why I think this ordinance came up for some of those things that were mentioned. Ordinance number, so anybody else wish to speak on the trash bins? Boy, that was, it's tabled now? Oh, that's right. So no more discussion until it comes back. Ordinance number 551-21, Jess, next.
An ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 12 of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Saraville to amend Section 12-6.3, rent increase limitation CPI.
Anybody from the public wish to speak on this ordinance? You can stand and give your name and address. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Thank you, Mayor. I move the public hearing be closed. Ordinance adopted on second and final reading and advertised. I'm sorry, that's the wrong one.
Second.
Wait,
No, that's right.
that's right. I'm sorry.
That's right, you're good.
Never get this right. The second and final reading and advertised according to law.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Delina.
Yes.
Conti.
Yes.
Enriquez.
Yes.
Mar.
Yes.
Novak.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Public hearing on ordinance 552-21, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 14, Water and Sewer, Section 14-49, Schedule A of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Saraville.
Anybody wish to speak on this ordinance, please stand and state your name for the record. Seeing none, I just have one quick question. Do we have, this is our water increase, right?
Yes.
So do we have that posted? Mayor, do you remember what the increase was going to be again for this year? I know it's in there, and
5%, Mayor.
5%?
Yes, ma'am. Just for the record, no, we haven't had an increase since 2018.
Okay, 5% increase, just this year though, right? This, and then, for over the course of 5, right?
Yep.
5.
5 or 3? I believe it's 3. 3.
3, and that's right, we had the discussion about potentially doing 5 when we pushed
3
it.
years increases. And for anybody that wasn't here while we were discussing this, it was just the federal government is putting more and more mandates on us, and we have to pay for it. And it's going to be a very documenting things and then physically doing things it's astronomical. It's just more and more things that we have to do, and we have to pay for it.
Yeah, I did have quite a few residents ask me about that, and I wanted to make sure that I gave the right information, which I did. One of them, we were talking, and I said, listen, we have had very low water rates in Saraville, actually the lowest around, but I did not want anybody thinking that we were moving into the bizarro world. I like having low water rates. I want us to keep low water rates. I think when we turn around and say, well, we haven't raised them in so long, so that's, part of the reason why we would want to raise them. That goes into, my Seinfeld reference, bizarro world. So if there was a way that we could keep this lower, then I think we should try, but I know
The water department must remain revenue
Solid.
neutral. It has to pay for itself.
Yep.
And otherwise, we'd be picking up all of this money in the taxes. So, you know, we have to maintain a certain percentage, you know, so that we can actually pay the bills.
Yep, I wanted to make sure that the people listening, because I know they are, because I never had such a long discussion about water rates, and I'm happy to do so. That is the reason for it, but like I said, as low as we can keep it, that is a good thing. I like things not coming out of our pockets, whether it's through taxes or through rates, it's still coming out of our pockets. Ordinance number 5, oh, I'm sorry, roll call, please.
No, we need
No,
a,
we didn't.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I move the ordinance be, no, excuse me, I move the public hearing be closed, the ordinance adopted on second and final reading and advertised according to law.
There you go, roll call, please.
Councilpersons Novak,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Delina,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Public hearing on ordinance number 553-21, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 14, Water and Sewer, Section 14-16.1 of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Saraville.
Anybody wish to speak on this ordinance, please stand and give your name and address. Seeing none, I will entertain a motion.
I move the public hearing be closed, the ordinance adopted on second and final reading and advertised according to law.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Novak.
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Delina.
Yes.
Enriquez.
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
I'm not making any appointments at this time, so. Let's move forward with new business, and that is our consent agenda resolutions. Anybody from the public wish to speak on any and all consent agenda resolutions, please stand, speak now, give your address and your name.
I move the public hearing be closed and the consent agenda resolutions be approved on roll call vote.
Second.
Councilpersons Delina.
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Enriquez.
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Novak,
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
And we have 2 resolutions to be read in full.
Yes, Mayor, whereas this is Resolution 2021-331, a resolution authorizing the adoption of the Middlesex County Multi-Jurisdictional All Hazards Mitigation Plan, whereas the Middlesex County New Jersey has exposure to natural hazards that increase the risk of life, property, environment, and the county's economy. Whereas proactive mitigation known hazards before a disaster event can reduce or eliminate long-term risk to life and property. Whereas a multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation plan has been developed by the county's Hazard Mitigation Steering Committee, whereas a hazard mitigation plan assesses the risk and vulnerability to the impacts of natural hazards, develops a mitigation strategy, including a prioritized list of mitigation actions, including the actions that over time will help minimize and reduce safety threats and damage to private property, and creates a plan for implementing, evaluating, and revising this strategy. Now therefore be it resolved by the Borough of Saraville, the Borough of Saraville adopts in its entirety the Middlesex County Multi-Jurisdictional All Hazards Mitigation Plan as the jurisdictional official hazard mitigation plan. Minor revisions to the hazardous mitigation plan recommended by the Federal Emergency Agency and/or the New Jersey Office of Emergency Management may be incorporated. Without further action, the Borough of Saraville resolves to execute the actions identified in the HPM that pertain to this jurisdiction, and municipal departments identified as the hazardous mitigation plan are directed to pursue the implementation of the recommended high priority activities that are assigned to them. The Borough of Saraville will adopt and approve the portions of the hazardous mitigation plan to guide pre- and post-disaster mitigation of the hazards identified. The Borough of Saraville will coordinate the strategies identified as the hazard mitigation plan with other planning programs and mechanisms under its jurisdiction. The Borough of Saraville will continue to support the local mitigation plan committee as described in the plan. The Borough of Saraville will help to promote and support the mitigation success of all participants in the plan. The Borough of Saraville will incorporate mitigation planning as an integral component of government and partner operation. The Borough of Saraville will provide an update of the plan in conjunction with the county no less than every 5 years. And that's it.
Make a motion to accept resolution.
Second.
Yeah.
You have to open it to the public?
Open to the public first for any and all comments regarding that lovely resolution that was read so eloquently by our borough attorney. You can speak now. Seeing none,
Make a motion to close the public portion, accept the resolution on roll call vote.
Second.
roll call, please.
Councilpersons Delina.
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Novak,
Yes.
Roberts.
And for his encore presentation, we're going to move on
This is
to.
much shorter. Resolution 202.
Well, first, I don't like the idea of having a pandemic being run by the county. So on this plan, I'm not comfortable voting yes for it, so no.
Ready? Where this is Resolution 2021-332. Be and hereby resolved that the borough officials are hereby authorized and directed to execute a right of entry agreement between the Township of Old Bridge and the Borough of Sayreville for properties block 26037 and lots 14 and 15 for the installation, maintenance, repair, and replacement of a drainage outfall pipe.
Anybody in the public wish to speak on this ordinance, please stand, state your name and address for the record. Seeing none at this time, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to close the public portion and accept the resolution on roll call vote.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Delina?
Yes.
Conti?
Yes.
Enriquez?
Yes.
Mar?
Yes.
Novak?
Yes.
Roberts?
Yes.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we're going to move to the public portion for any and all comments. Please keep in mind that we are going to hold that 5-minute limitation. So I'll ask Mr. Frankel to keep a check on his timer here. And if you wish to speak, please come up and state your name and address for the record. No comments from, here's your chance. All right, Mr. Izzo. How are you? One more time.
Council, Robert Izzo, 21 North Edward Street. So in short, I was up here 3 weeks ago at the last meeting, and I know we had Thanksgiving that week, blah, blah, blah. I know, Mr. Conti, you were supposed to spearhead that. I don't know if any discussion has been made or anything in the matter. I mean, I haven't received so much as a phone call. I'm not up here to make a stink or anything like that, but like I said last time, I don't want it to get swept under the rug.
None of Sergeant Braille's guys came over to see you or called you?
Not a one.
I spoke to him at the Holiday Lights Parade. He's aware of it.
Well,
Yeah, he said he was gonna have one of his folks either come see you or reach out to you and talk about it. So I double checked to make sure that's what he had said. And he usually does handle that stuff. So I gotta check with him and see what the story is. I figured he came to see you.
yeah, because I have my phone on me all day, and I haven't received so much as a phone call. And I also want to state that, like, it's not I'm not trying to be up here, like, attacking the police or nothing like that, because I'm pro-cop, pro-fire, all that stuff. I'm tired of seeing people speed on my street, you know? And, like, I've seen other signs since, and, like, last time I brought up the digital signs, I forgot that I actually saw it on Lower Ernstton by ShopRite, which, I mean, down there, I don't find it necessary, but, you know, like I said, I live on North Edward Street, not a drag strip. And when I purchased my house, it was, all right, I don't want to live on Washington Road. I don't want to live on Main Street. Pulaski's kind of iffy. Like, it's a nice street, but I'm just getting sick and tired of seeing people speed down the block. Like, I'm telling you, like, if a kid gets hit, like, it's not a laughing matter. It's not a joking matter. And, like, it's a lot of the people on the other end of the block. They just don't seem to care. And like I stated last meeting, I drive no faster than 20 miles. Like, I was late coming here today, and I went down the other end of the block. I still did 20 miles an hour. It's not, you know, it's not that big a deal. So I would like at least a phone call, or even if I looked up signs, like if I purchased my own signs and submitted a receipt, can I be reimbursed for that? Like if I just put up my own signs, is that a possibility?
Yeah.
All right, it's not a big issue. It's no more than $100. I'll just take care of that myself. But like regardless, I'd like to see some action be taken here. Like I said, I don't want it swept under the rug, and I'm not trying to be rude or be abrasive, but it does feel that way because we did have 3 weeks to at least get a discussion, you know. And
You're right. You're right.
like I said, it's not hard to make a phone call, and like I said, I have my phone on me all day. So I just, you know, I'd appreciate a phone call to at least know that it's being thought of, and that it's just not, you know, just blowing smoke here.
We talked about it. I'll follow up with them.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Izzo. Anybody else from the public wish to speak on anything?
Mr. Conti, can you please ask him again about the Creamer Drive weight limit signs?
Good evening again. I could not let the opportunity pass. I heard Mr. Rizzo a couple of weeks ago. I've heard the residents all year being on most of the virtual meetings and being present here since September, since they began. I had brought this, I live on Johnson's Lane, Burlington Road. I lived on Johnson's Lane for 30 years, up until 2 years ago, and then on Burlington. I didn't get far. but it's the same scene. I brought this to the attention of the council and you, Mayor, a couple of times this year. We have multiple high-speed roads that exit off into our street towns. I had agreed, what you said a couple weeks ago when Mr. Rizzo was up here. Yeah, I'm still like driving over that South River Bridge. I think we all are. We are
Absolutely.
totally conditioned to not speed when you go into their town. We have points of entry, obviously, in this town that could be pretty funneled down, similar to what goes on the other side of the bridge. It was enough to have something, I know it's been more than one child, Jimmy Kehoe. We're not too far removed from that young man that got hit right down the street here, okay? Again, from speeding. The speeding is out of control. I see we did get the signs that I had talked about, the solar signs that are on North Ernston Road. But we need a lot more of them, and maybe a little bit of police presence. Something I had addressed also this year, Mr. Conti, you were supposed to get back to me on, was about the minimum. Police, what's the minimum for the several police on shift? I have been observing on social media lately, and I know that's not the news spot, but they do say things like when cars get stolen and just the crime seems to be going up in this town. I had spoken to an Aberdeen police officer. It's got a population of about 18,000 people. They have a 3-man minimum. From what I understand, Cerebral with minimum 45,000 and looking to grow with other things, other developments, like 3 that I'm aware of. And of course, with all these warehouses, bringing more traffic in, flying off the highways, going to work, flying back onto the highways, going home to work. Like, I think that's something really, before, as Mr. Rizzo had said, I think something really needs to get done before we have any tragedies or near tragedies like Jimmy's story and more tears to be shed. We
Karen,
know about
speaking of
this.
Jimmy, nothing ever happened. We talked about no parking on Dolan. We talked about one way on Dolan. We talked about making the lower field a parking lot to take the traffic off the road, the parking off the road. Nothing ever happened.
So my question again with the police department, like what's going on there as crime, and I'm not blaming them. I mean, they have their resources. I'm asking as a concerned resident who's heard, I mean, it was right in big, beautiful Town Lake a week and a half ago. A woman was in her driveway with her car started. Her neighbor was outside across the street. 2 guys pulled up in a little red car, literally took off with her car right out of her driveway, with her standing in the garage with the open garage door. Just happened a couple of days ago in South River with the BMW. A mother started her car up, ran in to get her kid. Guess what? 2 guys pulled up in a car and left that car there because they had stolen that one. It was on my neighborhood app page. And I'm like, you know, things are getting scary. I would hope to get some answers as to like, what is the situation that's manning our town now? 45,000 people. From what I understood, it was a 4-man minimum. It's a little higher on the weekends. I think we need to, you know, I would hope to get an answer to that, maybe next time, maybe at the next meeting.
It's
with
part of
that.
our, it's contract. It says what we have as far as policy and procedure.
I believe it's a 5-man minimum, and that's, then they call somebody and throw the time, but when
Yep.
they say 5-man minimum, you're only talking about patrolmen. There are sergeants, 2 sergeants per shift, there's a lieutenant per shift. And on the daytime, there's even more patrolmen available.
I would like to find out what those numbers are, if, you know, that could be shared. I'm curious myself, you know, again, having talked to other officers in other towns. But again, the speeding, we have, these high-speed roads aren't going anywhere. They're funneling off into our towns. We don't want our kids hurt. We don't want our pedestrians hurt, standing there waiting for buses, that's happened too on Main Street.
I said it at the last meeting, and you heard me say
Yes,
it.
ma'am.
I really believe that this has to be something, yes, we know enforcement is key. We can't grow police officers and make people be on every single corner. I think that is something that part of our community outreach department, we need to come up with a much larger campaign. I hate to say it, but much of the speeding that does go on are our residents, not necessarily those passing through. And we need to have a very, very strong statement saying, not just slow down in our town at this point, it's literally stop. You need to stop. You need to turn around and look. And that is something that we need to do as residents, 45,000 plus strong. And we need to get the word out. And that's something that I think I had asked Vince to also bring up to the community outreach and to the PD to really talk about how we can get a campaign of residents that we can get behind and we can say enough, because that's what it's gonna take. We can turn around and put all of our officers that are on duty, out on just traffic patrol. Let's say that that is feasible. I mean, obviously, there's crime and there's other things they have to do, but let's say that we turned around and had 50 police officers doing traffic safety. We're not gonna get everybody. It's impossible. But the difference is within those communities too, is it's a very visible, it's a very obvious, it's a very big campaign, and we're just not gonna settle anymore for anything less. We have to communicate our young drivers, we have to communicate to one another that this is what we have had enough with. And that's what we need.
Mayor,
We need
can we
that.
invite the chief of police or Sergeant Braille to the meeting next time? I just feel like maybe they need to hear this for themselves.
Well, what I would like to have is give the opportunity to Sergeant Braille to speak with his traffic safety officers and also speak with our community outreach department. And let them have the opportunity to work on ideas that they see happening in other towns. And then bring that idea to us, and then let's get our residents involved. We can turn around and do a resident committee, like we've done in the past when we've had issues, to turn around and help us get the word out.
They very well could be doing that right now. We just aren't aware. So
We
it'd
might not be.
helpful for them to share what their plans are currently.
Absolutely.
That might be something, because I don't know if you remember, it went on for several weeks, and it really has worked. It's 10 o'clock, hit the
Oh, my gosh, everywhere, yes.
And that was started by the community.
It's community
And I
outreach.
said to them, what's going on? What's this 10 o'clock hit the lock stuff? Are
Oh
we,
my gosh, yeah.
Has crime risen? Like,
And that's one of the things, some of these.
yeah, right,
Going.
yeah.
I was robbed twice
Yeah.
in my driveway, so.
It resonated with the people, and just the other night at OLB, when they were lighting the trees, a resident came by and looked at the community outreach officers and said, it's
10 o'clock, hit the rock.
Conditioning, just like they do on the other side of the bridge.
Maybe they could do something like that about speeding.
Yeah, we are, listen, I can't imagine, there is one person up here that says, no, we don't have to fix speeding. No, we shouldn't do anything. Absolutely not. We're all in the same boat. We all drive the same streets. I live right by Mr. Izzo. I know exactly what he's talking about. I had a car pass me on Pulaski because I was doing 22, okay, getting to my house, and actually zoomed around me with the double line because I wasn't going fast enough for them.
I had that happen to me on the apex of Johnson's Lane.
And let's
where
face
you
it,
can't
Pulaski
see.
is not a pass-through for another town. These are our residents, these are our people. Nobody's passing through from South River, jumping through Pulaski to turn, no, it's not happening. They're not coming from South Danbury, they're not coming from East Brunswick. That is an internal road right there. You are getting from one point of the town to the other point of a town because you're going to somebody's house that lives here. And it's unacceptable.
You know what was interesting? And I've always believed that visual aids speak a lot. They speak volumes.
Yep.
When the police are there with the cable trucks and they see the police cars, whether it's a dummy car or a real car, again, visual aids can speak volumes. They slow down.
I'm a teacher,
So,
visual
yeah.
aids, work in my classroom, but thank you, Karen. None of
You're
us are going
welcome,
to object. Vince, Sergeant Braille, let's get community outreach because they're wonderful with their campaigns, like
Yeah.
Mary said.
He had a bunch of ideas, he had a bunch of things in the works. Let me see what's developed from that.
And then
see
it's
what,
time
he
to
presents.
come here, let's get an idea of what we can do, and as a council, and it's very easy to turn around and create a committee of individuals. Clearly, this is something big, so we might have to meet in, let's say, the senior center or something, and turn around and get that campaign out, and make it something that we hold true to all the time.
Good idea.
That's it.
Good idea.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, anything else from the public? Anyone else from the public?
Just with the
Come on
signs,
back,
the
Mr. Rizzo.
signs on Pulaski were a campaign, and unfortunately, those campaigns end, and then we have to give the signs
That's why
back.
it's got to be constant. It's
Right.
got to be something that is, we have had it up to here. And go ahead, Mr. Rizzo.
Robert Izzo, 21 North Edward Street. I'd just like this on the record. As far as like the rhymes and that's all cute and all, but like I literally would like some action taken.
No.
And
Yeah.
I'd also like to be, kept in the loop with Sergeant Braille as well to whatever does go on or whatever decisions are made. And lastly, for Michelle, not to sound rude, but with the Jimmy Kehoe thing, you said nothing was done. Now, my question is, whose fault is that? Because you guys, all of you, like, I'm not, throwing daggers or anything, but you're all elected officials. And I know, I've lived in town forever. I know you've been a councilman for a very long time, but whose fault is that nothing was done? That's my question, because, I mean, like, I could stand up here and talk, and you guys can yes me to death, but, like, the last 3 weeks, I haven't received a phone call, so nothing was done. I'm up here again, we're talking about the Jimmy Kehoe thing.
Wouldn't have brought it up if it didn't bother me. I agree with you 100%.
No, you did bring it up, so nothing was done, so whose fault is that? Like, I don't want this situation to be, just like I said last month, swept under the rug and nothing be done. Like I do not live on a racetrack. Like, Englishtown's closed, like, go find somewhere else to race, because I hear it out my bathroom window, somewhere from over there, people are racing or whatever, but North Edward Street is not a drag strip. Yeah, it's nice and wide and flat and all that good stuff, but, like, I'm getting tired of it. So, nothing was done with the Jimmy Kehoe thing, and I surely don't want to see nothing get done with my issue. And there are plenty of other streets in town, but, I moved from Roll Avenue and Melrose. The problem up there was Oak Street never getting paved, Cross Avenue never getting paved, and that's still an issue. I live on North Edward Street now, and if I have to come back every meeting, I'll come back. Because when it involves my kids, like, I'll do anything for them. So if I need to be back up here next meeting, I will be. And then the meeting after that, and the meeting after that. And I'll just keep coming back, and squeaky wheel gets the grease. And I'll squeak until the cows come home if I have to. So.
Thank you for keeping us accountable, and I'll bring it up every meeting moving forward if you're not here.
Well, I hope you do. Thank
Before you speak about it.
you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Make a motion to close the public portion.
Second.
Roll call, please. Actually, all in favor, we can do.
Aye. Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move into our second meeting at this point. Please rise for a salute to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all once again. Jess, statement of publication.
Just give me 1 second. Take notice that this agenda session meeting of the mayor and council being held on this 13th day of December 2021 has been advertised and posted in accordance with Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Conti.
Here.
Delina.
Here.
Enriquez.
Yep.
Mar.
Here.
Novak.
Here.
Roberts.
Here.
At this time, do we have any old business or new business at this? No, I do not believe so. Communication and committee reports, administration and finance. Councilwoman Roberts, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Move the following minutes and reports be received and filed. Municipal Clerk's Monthly Report for November 2021. Second. Applications for bingo raffles. Lions Eye Research Foundation of New Jersey to conduct an off-premise on June 14th, 2022.
Is there a second on that?
You don't need
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed the second. Approve or deny, any comments? Okay. Committee reports then.
No committee reports. I just wanted to, I had the opportunity to jump on the trash can because I sat in on Middlesex County meetings about Edgeboro, and I thought it was important to bring that up because it's really what we look at on the other side of the river. So we do have to come up with some solutions. And although the municipal plan for hazards, everything else looks good, I just don't want to give away our town's ability to make our own pandemic rules. It just seems to be getting out of hand, so I just wanted to bring that up one more time.
Okay.
Otherwise, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and congratulations and condolences to our two parting councilmen. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, moving on to planning and zoning. Councilwoman Mar, please.
Okay, I move the following minutes and reports be received and filed. Construction officials report for the month of November 2021. Fire prevention report for the month of November 2021. Planning board minutes of October 20th, 2021 and November 3rd, 2021.
Second.
Notice to adjacent community property owner, notice of public hearing being held before the Township of East Brunswick Council on December 13th, 2021 regarding ordinances 21-32, 21-33, 21-34 zoning.
Is there a
Notice of
second to
public
that?
hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you have
Notice
one
of
more?
public hearing held before the Saraville Planning Board on December 1st, 2021 for the purposes of reviewing and taking action on the preliminary and final major site plan approval for Hercules LLC.
Second.
Received the following planning board resolutions, which was memorialized on December 1st, 2021. Quality Wine and Spirits preliminary and final site plan with ancillary bulk variance relief, 1984 Route 35, South Amboy, New Jersey, Block 424, Lot 3. Bordentown Park LLC preliminary and final site plan with ancillary bulk variance relief, 4000 Bordentown Avenue, Several, New Jersey, Block 14, Lot 1.
Is there a second on that?
And committee reports, if you've been following me on social media, I try to highlight all of the good that I see happening in our community lately. We had the Jerry Us Bench Memorial down at Kennedy Park, the boat dock. We just had Sensory Santa yesterday. For the past 7 years, they've been providing a safe space for children with special needs to go visit Santa. They were on the news, NJ12 highlighted them. Our rec department's toy drive, our police auxiliary did a toy donation to the Children's Specialized Hospital. Several fire department is escorting Santa around town this coming week. The Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day, hosted by the American Legion and VFW. Our scouts did a food drive. Our holiday lights parade was so great to see everyone out and about again. If you have a chance, drive by OLV. Their trees outside are beautiful. The donations and the people they are memorializing. St. Stan's flags for Veterans Day. So just so many wonderful things happening around our community that should be highlighted. Questions that I ask Mr. Frankel every meeting, and now I'm asking about the Jimmy Kehoe Dolan Street, but in addition, our Conrail mural. So I've been asking for the past year to get in touch with Conrail so we have approval to beautify some sections of town with some murals dedicated to our veterans. Mr. Frankel, have you heard anything from
I'm
Conrail?
to a fifth contact trying to get someone internally in Conrail, so I have had no luck.
All right.
They're second only to God.
They are. It's almost,
And as far as back to that Jimmy Kehoe thing, can I make a motion to make Dolan Street parking on one side of the street? How do we go about a discussion about that?
I think
that
you
would
should
have to be an ordinance, and you'd have to.
get police, you have to have police. You have to
Traffic
have,
safety has to do a report and a recommendation, and then we approve it.
So Councilman Conti, can you broach that conversation with Sergeant Braille?
Yeah, I will. I will. He was supposed to come out with some recommendations on a few things. I'm going to circle back with him and see where we left that. Because he talked to me about a couple of things, and I thought something more formal was going to come out after that, but I don't recall seeing anything.
I think our two best options were parking only on one side of the street and then turning that lower field that's usually underwater into a parking lot.
Yeah, I know that was a big one. I think a lot of it comes down to money as well.
And that parking lot potentially is conveniently located across the street from our new community garden that's going to need parking spots for soon. That's it, progress.
All right, wonderful.
Slow
Thank you,
but
Michelle. Thank you for that list also. I know that you keep track of everything. Public Safety, Councilman Conti.
Thank you. I move the following minutes and reports be received and filed. The municipal court report for the month of November 2021, Board of Health Registrar and County reports for the month of November 2021, and Board of Health minutes of November 4th, 2021.
Second.
All right, and we've got an application for membership as a firefighter from Nicholas Molteg and Johnny Tamayo, accepted by Engine Company Number 1 at their November 18th meeting.
Any objection? Okay. And committee report?
No committee reports, just, I echo a little bit about what Michelle had said about the parade of lights, everything that's been going on around town. I think it's been great. I know the Jerry Us thing was, got some nice, nice reviews of that, so I was happy to hear about it, although I missed it. I wanted to thank the Historical Society also for their hospitality at their holiday party the other day. That was nice as well. And just Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everyone, and I'll see you on New Year's Day. Thanks so much.
Perfect. Recreation, Councilman Enriquez, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I move the following minutes and reports to be received and filed. Recreation Department report for month of November 2021.
Second.
All right, and for committee reports, I just want to thank the Rec Advisory Board for the tremendous work they did for the parade and for the toy drive. It was, toy drive went very smooth. A lot of gifts were given out, and most of these were at the parade, and that was a very successful event. Progress, man.
Thank you very much, Damon. Water and sewer, please, Councilwoman, and environmental, I'm sorry, Councilwoman Novak.
I make a motion to receive and file as listed on the agenda A1. And committee reports, again, God has been good with water main breaks. We're doing pretty good with that. Thank him. Hopefully, he'll keep that up throughout the winter. I'd like to wish everybody, global warming. I'd like to wish everybody, all the residents, and particularly my friends up here on the dais, happy, have a Merry Christmas and a very happy and healthy New Year.
Thank you very much for that. And now, Council President Delina, Public Works, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I move the minutes and departmental reports A1 and 2 be received and filed. And for the final time, progress.
Wow. I am going to miss that. You get right to. That leaves me my comments for today. So a little bit on the business end of things. I would like to say, first of all, again, gentlemen, I'm definitely going to miss my right and my left side over here. And I do look forward to working with Christian and Eunice. Very excited to see you come on and to see what ideas that you're going to bring. When it comes to business, I do want to put this on the record and actually ask for this to be done. So I was reviewing our professional list and the individuals that put in for those very, very important positions. I did notice that when I was going through that list that there were at least 5 different positions that we only had one person put in for, show interest in. I think that those professional positions are the most important positions that we could have within our town. These are the individuals that we rely on in order to give us recommendations and also to share their expertise, so that way we can make decisions up here as a governing body. I 100% believe that those appointments need to be government decisions. And I am concerned when we have a state and a town and a county as large as we do, that we could have possibly 5 positions within the borough where only one person put in interest. We know that there are a lot of attorneys within the state. So what I am asking, not asking, in my power as the mayor, I would like to have the opportunity to put out yet again for RFPs for any other individual that may have not responded to the RFP that was initially put out and due back on December 2nd. I want to make sure that individuals that may be interested in that position for whatever reason and may not have put in for it has the opportunity to do that. I also think it's very important that our newest council people have an opportunity to review and look at and make decisions on those professionals as well. And I can only assume that you probably did not even see or receive those packets or have an opportunity to weigh in and possibly.
They received.
You received, but you didn't have an opportunity to solicit individuals that you may know within that field that may be interested in, because that deadline was out and done before you had an opportunity to be involved very consistently within the process. That is very, very important to me. It's extremely important to me, and it should be important to all of our residents, that we make sure that these appointments are government appointments and not err on the side of potential political appointments. We need to be transparent, we need to be open with that. So what I am asking for is, and again, not asking for it, I do have that power, those appointments are mine as mayor. I would like to extend our RFP process to at least a month. If today's December 13th, extending that to January 13th. Any professional that has already
So
put in
does this have to be
interest.
brought to a vote then?
No, it does not.
Mike just said it did. You need our permission.
I guess the question is, you're asking for a motion to extend?
No, let me finish let me finish. I'm not asking for a motion because I don't need a motion. We can do this today, or we can do it on January 3. So what I'm asking is this. We have already received ours, so I shouldn't say asking, again, that's my politeness. What I will be doing is any professional that put in an RFP would own, because that takes time and that takes money. All that I would ask that they would do, if they are still interested in the position, they can just submit a letter to our borough clerk and state that they are still interested in that position, and they do not have to do anything else, and they remain within that pile. Anybody that would like to put in as a professional for any of the positions that have not already would have until January 13th to do that, and they would obviously have to follow all the proper procedures and protocols and reference to do that, just like we expected before. I would like a bigger pool of candidates.
They already had the opportunity to do it the first time and they missed the deadline. So I think that
That's okay.
something like this is a little out of the realm and
That's
something
okay.
that's never, it's okay to you, but it might not be okay to the people who put those positions in and met the deadline. You're a teacher, you should know that when someone submits an assignment on the deadline, do you give them extra time to submit it again?
Sometimes I do, actually.
Sometimes you do?
Thank you.
Well, in an instance like
'cause-
this, I think it's uncommon and I think it's something that can actually
So,
hurt.
is there any legal ramifications to this, Mike?
I would just, let me just ask a question, though.
I mean, I can understand if you wanted to extend the date prior, like if you said before the date, why don't we put this out until January 13th? But you waited until a date was passed, and now you want to open it up again. Are there any legal ramifications?
Well, let me just say this really quickly, and I appreciate council.
You've been on the council 6 years. Mayor.
Excuse me.
Why didn't you think about this before?
Well, excuse me. Are you saying, as council president, and Councilwoman's been on longer than anybody here, that you do not believe that it is important for us as elected officials to have more than one individual put in? Don't our residents deserve and wouldn't they expect us to be able to pick the best professionals to make the most important decisions for our town? Wouldn't it be, and this is where working together is important. I want our newly elected Republican candidates to also be able to weigh in on this decision and be able to preview and reach out to individuals that they may know that could offer additional professional services to us. I think it's in the interest and the transparency of this governing body to support that. I don't want these appointments to have potentially a political feel
But now why all of a sudden?
versus
Why all of a
a
sudden now?
governmental feel. Because we have one,
Yeah, by doing this, I feel like you are.
you don't think,
Mayor, this may look to people out there like you have somebody in particular that you want to put in this position. And they weren't interested before, but you approached them and you said, oh, well, the date's passed, but don't worry, I'm going to open it up. I think I have no problem if you want to say, next year, we put this off and we give the people more time and we reach out to people, but to change it after the fact.
this sounds
doesn't
very
pass the
political.
stick test.
This sounds to me like you don't want
Mayor,
to open up
Before this
and
gets
have
any further, let's see
additional-
what the legal perspective on this is, please, Mr. Dupont.
Well, I know that you had a resolution, and the borough clerk just reminded me, a resolution authorizing the borough clerk to advertise. So there is going to have to be some resolution to authorize the borough clerk to advertise for any additional RFPs.
so it required a resolution to start with, they'll need a resolution. again.
Right, so there,
Is that only because it's prior to January? I mean, these are my appointments.
No, I know that, you're,
without consent.
so I guess the issue is, Mary, you had mentioned 5.
There were 5.
Is there a specific positions that you wanted to?
Absolutely not. I think in order for it to be fair,
So-
that all positions should be reposted for RFP, because not just in those positions, I think everybody should have that opportunity to put in again. I wouldn't turn around and isolate certain ones. I think that looks less transparent.
Just a question, are you thinking that something is prohibiting the additional RFPs to
I
come in?
find it, well, there's a couple of things. Number one, it was very concerning to me that that 5 positions, and there's only one choice. That's not a choice. That's not a choice.
I know.
That's only one. So that's concerning to me. Why did that occur? And it also was concerning to me as well, because we have, again, new council individuals that receive their packet, and they turn around and they can go through that, and they are going to have, we're going to be asking them for their consent on those. And I believe that it's very difficult to turn around and do that when you literally were only given that one choice. I do think it's important for people to reach out and to say, hey, put in for these positions. I don't think there's anything wrong. It's concerning to me that anybody would have an issue with just looking to see if there's other professionals that are interested in that. I
Concerning
would
to me that
hope
you wanna
that the
extend this.
residents would want to have as many options before us as possible. And sometimes I think that, I wonder.
We can continue talking
Why?
about it, or we can
You're
figure
right,
out
I
what to
can,
do.
it's you're right, but remember that I am actually the one that's in charge of the meeting, so I have the opportunity to speak. It's bothersome to me. And I hope that the residents are asking that question too. Why in a town with so many projects, so many litigation and other issues, why we would only get one professional for all of these 5 positions, and in some of them only 2? That concerns me. So I just want to open it up. Now, that's fine. You don't have to do that. But I just think it's important.
How exactly, let everybody know exactly how this works.
They were advertised in the Home News Tribune, Star Ledger for, I believe, on November 1st, and then on the New Jersey League of Municipalities website for a month.
Are you
Opportunities for other
concerned that
vendors
somebody
to,
on that list won't get on?
No.
Okay, so then what's the problem? Just open it up.
Because you're opening it up after the fact, Mayor.
Okay, other towns have done this.
And, well, I don't know if other towns have done it. I cannot go along with this. You have a date.
That's okay.
You stick with the date.
Well, you're definitely
Okay.
setting a precedent.
I don't think so.
Well, no, next year, when that happens, if somebody comes in after the fact, probably, well, you've done it, you did it last year.
No. I'm not saying nobody's put in after the fact. That's not what we're doing here. We would be re-advertising for RFPs so we can get a bigger pool of individuals.
Why not
to
just
select.
open up the
So what
5
I'm
that
saying
don't have
is,
anyone else?
If we get one, I mean, I know we had this conversation with the lawn guy. You can only get one bid, and that was it. We wanted more.
Right.
But I mean, we can't force people to submit the bids.
No, you
I
don't.
would think they'd want the business too. I would think so as well.
So you're saying that you don't want to turn around and get a larger pool of candidates potentially?
I don't know if
You're right, we don't know. So what's the harm in trying?
No,
Thank you.
we set a date.
Listen, we also had an ordinance that we tabled just at the beginning of the meeting. People make changes. All I'm asking for is, why are you fighting so hard for this?
That is, you're comparing apples to oranges. We tabled it before it was passed.
Listen,
You're
Mayor,
looking at, we did a resolution back in November, the first meeting in November, in October.
that's
We
fine.
did this in October, and now, all the way down the road, it's December 13th, and now you want to change a resolution that was already passed
Mary,
and done.
I think I've made it very clear. And I think the people sitting here hear exactly what I'm saying. We don't have a choice right now for at least 5 important positions that every single taxpayer is going to be paying for the services of, the advice of, and we as a council are going to rely on to help us make decisions for you. In 5 of those positions,
Mike, do I have to just call for a vote?
excuse me, I'm speaking, I am the mayor. You need to remember that. Okay? I am speaking. I never interrupt you when you're speaking. I want transparency, openness, and choice, because our residents deserve that. And if that means that we re-advertise for RFP for 30 days to see if there are any other professionals and to give our newly elected council people an opportunity to review, look at, and solicit potentially other individuals that they may know in their own fields, we should be able to have that happen. I am very concerned that in a town of 45,000, with major redevelopment plans, with the major litigations, that we only get one professional put in. And maybe that's all we will get. But what's the harm?
Did this happen last year too?
No.
No.
It's never happened before.
Yeah. Last year was my first year as mayor. And you know what? One of the things that that drives me batty is one of the reasons why we haven't had the progress in our town that we've needed for years is because people say this: that's the way it's always been done. That's the way we did it last year. That is literally a one-way street into zero progress and in living in an archaic time. And if we continue to use that as our excuse for how we do business, then we are going to continually be behind the curve in every single way. I am very upset and disappointed that transparency, government, and elected officials would not want more choice for our residents. So, be that as it may, I've said my piece. The council can make their comments as they see fit, and as mayor, I will evoke whatever powers that I have in reference to the appointments that are afforded to me as professionals in order to make sure that we get the best professionals and we get the most option and the most choice for our residents because they deserve it. So,
I don't, we'd have to do a resolution to change the other resolution, and I, for one, am not prepared to do that. I would have no problem if you, well, I would have had a problem before, only because all appointments, for it to be your appointment, even though you need our consent, we only receive RFPs by the 13th. It will no longer be your appointment, because by the meeting in January, it'll be our appointment. So we are under a time constraint.
and that's fine. You can appoint those individuals if you so choose. If that time limit is now expired, and you choose to, if you do get additional appointments and you choose the other candidates that were already there, there's no harm, there's no foul. And do what you, so I just don't understand why you wouldn't want more choice. But Mary, it's clear, if you don't want the choice,
Mayor, it's got
then that's
nothing to do
fine.
with choice.
It has everything to do with choice.
It's following the protocol. And this, you're saying, I'm not, when I first came on this council, we didn't even do RFPs. So, I mean, we have really.
So that's the way it's always been done, so it was changed. Okay, thank you, you proved my point.
But we did an RFP. We advertised. If anybody else wanted that job, they would have put in for it. And you just don't change. Excuse me.
That's fine, Mary, you made it very clear. You don't want choice. I get it.
Mayor, we put it out there. If anybody wanted the jobs, they would have put in for it.
Okay.
And to change the rules, I'm even really afraid of legal ramifications.
Well, you just said that a couple of years, however many years back, you didn't even do RFP. So
It
Mary,
was
things
back
have
in the
changed.
early 90s.
If you
and we
don't
follow-
question and you don't work towards change, you will have no change. And I'm here for progress and change. That's what I was elected to do.
And obviously, you only thought about this progress and change in the past week.
I've thought, oh, no. I've thought
Then why
about,
didn't you bring it up when there was still time, Mayor?
excuse me?
You must have only thought of this recently. You've never mentioned it at a meeting. You were here when we
this a
did the
meeting?
resolution. You watched us vote on the resolution that set a date.
Is
That
this a
was in
meeting?
October.
Is this a meeting? So you wanted me to turn around and ask for more RFPs when I didn't even know who submitted them?
You could
In
have asked for
October?
but Mayor.
Mary, there are literally 5 appointments with
And how-
one person.
Okay,
I
did
just
that
want
happen?
choice. I'm not
Did
going to
that
argue with
happen
you.
did that happen last year and you had no problem?
Oh, so it goes back to,
Did it
well, we
happen?
can only do what we did last year. We're not
No,
even
I'm
swearing
just
in and holding
saying.
we have a January 3rd meeting. It wasn't done the year before.
I think
Mary,
this is getting out
if
of
you
hand.
want
What
to
are
say
you
no,
saying? We've got a
say no.
January 3rd meeting and we never did it before.
Mary.
Yeah, we did.
Mary,
Vicky.
you said no. You said no. I put my comment. So Mary is opposed to asking for additional RFPs for 1 month. She wants to stick with only those individuals that put in for those positions. We get it, Mary.
Yep.
Anybody else?
I will say I'm not opposed to having a choice. I prefer a choice. I want to operate within guidelines and protocol. I don't know, I'm not an expert on that. Whatever we're allotted, Mike, if, whatever that may be, I appreciate choice. When there's only one, you're right, there's no choice. But this is government, and there's rules and regulations and protocol. If we can go outside that, I don't know what it entails, Mike, but, you know, I really don't, but for the record, I just kind of want to say that I appreciate more choice, more selections, more opportunities for others. Just don't know if I can always say, I don't have enough, so let's keep it going. And I don't know what happens. What happens in a month? We don't get any more RFPs. Do we keep it going until we find the one
Maybe
that
in
we
December of
wanted?
2022, you'll have some RFPs that you'll enjoy. Other ones.
I don't like receiving, and again, this is where I believe we need to eliminate political interference from all forms of our government, especially appointments to professionals. I'm going to finish my comment. And when I get a text message by a vice chair of a political party stating that I need to attend a meeting in order to go over the professional appointments, I have a problem with that. I want open and transparent. I want choice because our residents deserve it. And whether it was done in the past or whether it was done 20 years ago, I am demanding it now.
Or when it's only benefited you.
I don't benefit from this in any way, shape, or form other than to get choice. Now, that is a concerning statement because the only person that would turn around and talk about a benefit from something may be somebody receiving it. The only thing I benefit from in this position is extra Excedrin in a box and loss of time with my family. So if you consider that a benefit, then I guess I'm guilty. But I refuse when I have an opportunity to make a difference and a change and to bring transparency and openness, I will not turn my back on that.
Like, what's the next steps?
Just need a resolution. Someone would have to make a resolution authorizing the borough clerk to extend 2 weeks, 3, what were we looking?
I mean, if it's, I just went with 30 days because, December 13th to January 13th, that was, but, because I do think it takes time for professionals in order to put their packets and their work and their things together. So that's why I went with that. But as I'm not a professional, I know that it takes time in order to do that. So I wanted to make sure that we didn't turn around.
You could put it towards, what's today? Today's the 13th. You could give them 14th.
We'll put it this way. We don't have another meeting until January 3rd in which this would be addressed. And I think to extend it to the 13th, which would mean at our very next meeting after that, I think that would be fair. January 24th, that's what I mean. Like, the 13th would be, it would be the second meeting in January potentially, yes. So I don't think waiting one meeting is going to be a completely earth-shattering situation in order to entertain. Listen, we could be sitting back up here. This is what is concerning people. I don't know if anybody else is going to put in for it. I don't know. All I'm doing is asking for that opportunity. We could be sitting back up here with the same 5 positions, with the same individual professionals that put in for it. And that's fine. But we should not be obstructing that just to give us an opportunity to look at possibly others. I don't understand why that's so concerning to some. I don't understand that.
I think I'm more concerned, why is this the first year that this has happened? Why did this not happen last year prior, me being a new councilwoman? Why this year is there no choice?
Have you heard of a learning curve? Last year was my first year as mayor. Literally got sworn in. Okay. Handed that packet and went through what we had. But one of the things that I believe is important, and I teach it to my students, is that you should always learn. Every experience and every day should bring in new enlightenment. And if you have an opportunity to learn from those moments, to turn around and do something better the next time, why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we? It's my second year, and I'm excited to turn around and shake some things up right now. Because when I shake things up, I wonder what nerve I've hit. And I think I've hit some nerves. I think you've all seen it. So now I'm even more excited to ask for those RFPs to be reissued. And no harm, no foul to the professionals that are already put in. They don't have to do anything more than say, here's an email, yes, I'm interested still. That's it. That's it.
It's not just a matter of sending, you're saying that the people that are currently already did the.
Yeah, they already did their RFPs. I'm not going to take them out. I mean, my God, please, they get to stay. Don't have to do one more iota. Just send an email saying, still interested.
I have no problems if you had said this before.
Okay.
But to open it up now, I just don't feel that it's right.
Why would they have to
was only
restate
one
their
meeting
interest
before since
when
the
they followed the directions the first time?
December 2nd was when the RFPs were in. They were due, right? December 2nd? That was when they were, December 2nd was when all RFPs needed to be submitted.
How long were they advertised?
No. December 2nd was when all RFPs had to be called for and that you put that together. What's today's date? December 13th. Think about that, guys. Think about that. Why didn't I bring this up at a previous meeting? This is the meeting. December 2nd was when all the RFPs had to come in. I reviewed, I looked at them. There's 5 positions that only have 1 professional listed. This is the meeting that I'm bringing it up because this is the meeting that the list was finalized.
But it has happened before where there's only 1.
Okay.
If you were concerned that the 30 days wasn't enough time, you should have said something before. I don't know.
Oh, so you mean previous years? So you're not happy that I brought this up now, this year?
No, what I'm saying is that, let's just go back 1 year. We had appointments where only 1 person put in for it. You know that. We have positions in the town that only 1 person puts in for it.
That's a totally different situation.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that it has happened. If you were concerned that obviously you're concerned that the 30 days was not enough time. And
oh, so now you know what I'm concerned about.
October,
That's not what I'm concerned about. Absolutely
that's
not.
what you said you were.
No, I did not. I did not say I was
There's only
concerned
one,
about
so
this.
we don't have a choice. Is
Wait
that
a
what you
minute. Hey,
said?
Mary, I think we need to roll tape back. Because for the record, she's telling me what I have a problem with. She's telling me I had a problem that 30 days wasn't enough. That's not what I'm saying. And I'm pretty sure the residents here are smart enough to hear what I'm saying. It had nothing to do with the length of time.
Okay.
It has to do with the fact that I would like choice. Our residents deserve choice. And when we have 5 positions and only one person put in for, or one professional put in for, I don't know how many more times we have to be that. Listen, vote or stay or do whatever you want. I think it's very clear what I'm asking for. I have never, honestly, I wish we had this kind of debate over some of the redevelopment projects that we do, over some of the other big, important decisions that we have to make up here. I wish we had this long of a debate over hundreds of other items. But if you want to sit here for hours so I can reiterate, all I'm asking for is to re-advertise
We're waiting for a
for
resolution,
RFPs.
and no one seemed to make make it
fine.
yet, so,
That's fine.
make a motion, so no one's made it, so I think we can move forward.
And that is disappointing. And I hope our residents see that. It's disappointing. We will be forced to take the only candidates that put in for those positions, rather than given an opportunity for 30 days for somebody else to put in. And our residents do not see us actually have to choose who we think will best serve this town. That concerns me. And it concerns me that, again, our newly elected council people did not have, were you guys involved in this process at all when it came to, other than just reviewing? Were you able to look at those professionals lists, potentially solicit, look at, or talk to other experts in the field? You were not. The deadline already came up. And that's all I'm talking about. That's my problem. So I will discuss with the attorney what my powers be as mayor in order to hopefully solicit those RFPs out for at least 30 days. And hopefully those powers will enable me to do that so that our residents and we can sit there and look and choose. You can choose the 5 that are on there. You can turn around and ignore my appointments, and like Mary said, it's with the consent. And not consent, that's fine. Choice is important. That's all. So, anybody? Okay, so I'll evoke whatever powers that I have. We can move on. Business administrators report?
Thank you, Mayor. Just permission for discussion for our professionals for the pilot for Trammell Crow project per Sarah's recommendation that's in your package. Trammell Crow is the former Hercules development. I'm sorry.
Any objection to that?
Authorization to increase the hourly standby rate for the Sayreville Fire Department. I guess I should make a decision here to $35 per hour. This is in reference to a snow standby. In other words, they're getting paid $15 an hour now. Private people who snowplow get between $45 and $50 an hour. Compromise would say to have people on, and this is only for 1 or 2 snow events a year, to make sure we have enough people in our fire departments to raise it to $35 an hour.
What's the estimated total?
Oh, if there's 4 people that would be in each firehouse, 4 firehouses, 16 people, probably for 8 hours. It's not a lot of money.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Dan, did we talk to the labor attorney about our part-time
Yeah,
snow?
we have to open up negotiations.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
that's,
I thought we were waiting for Mike Merriman to get back to us.
he said we have to open up the contract negotiations. So we can open up, but by the time we open it up,
First snowstorm before.
we're going to be, that's right. I think it's going to be something that we'll have to adjust our, we'll have to see. But right now, I don't think the timing of that is going to be, we might miss the whole snow season by the time we get to that.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I can't go against the contract, so.
I think we should really try to expedite that. I know the unions are willing to open the contract back up again. Take care of
We can open up, and it would have to come to the council, I guess, in a meeting of the 24th, and then it'll be approved in the meeting in February, so you're right at the.
How has it always been done, Dan? How has it always been done? Are we breaking policy or protocol?
We have to open up contract negotiations in order to, like, we can't do it.
I just want to make sure that it's done the way it's always been done, and then we're not changing any policy or protocol, but that's fine, continue.
I just, Dan, I'm just afraid we're raising.
think we're-
We're
I
raising
think-
this, but we're telling the.
Well, these are not the
No, I know what
department
it is.
are not under
I know
contract,
what it
so
is.
unless, I can't go against the contract.
I just don't want people not to show up.
I understand. I am going to throw this over to Jay in Public Works. Jay and I had a discussion today with PSC&G in reference to the work that they have been doing all over the borough as far as their work, and I want Jay to just reiterate, there's a new wrinkle, I'm going to say, that we just want to make sure the council understands what it is.
As the mayor and council will recall, earlier this year, there was a discussion with Public Service about what they call their gas modernization project, where they're going to various sections of the town, upgrading existing gas mains, and the council had a discussion about how they were going to pave the roads as a result of that work. They were working in the Morgan section between South Pine Avenue and Route 35, which is the Brook Avenue area. They came across 5 additional streets where they found gas lines that were in poor condition that needed to be upgraded. So since they're working in the area, they asked that the prior process they be allowed to follow for these 5 additional roads. And that's Brook Avenue, Gross, Armstrong, 9th, and 10th. Those are the 5 streets. So they would go through and look to replace the gas lines in those streets. And following the same process as paving the roads, Gross and Armstrong were never reconstructed by the borough.
Okay.
So we didn't want them to go through and just do a half pave because there's other work that needs to be done. But they would go through and do full pave on Brook and on 9th. 10th is a concrete roadway. So they would go through and not pave it, they would just restore the existing concrete. So that's their proposal. Because they're working in the area, the contractor is ready to proceed with this work once the weather allows, rather than starting the process over if they just like to continue it under their existing program.
Jay, can I ask one question? I know the ordinance reads if they do so many linear feet of a trench. What if, I noticed in Morgan, some of the streets, they're digging maybe a 5-foot trench in front of everybody's house, all the way down the street. So, but there's no continuous trench all the way down. They're just digging big holes. Are those streets going to be repaved at all?
Mayor, I'd have to see the list because they had certain streets that they were going to go through and pave, certain streets they were just going to do restoration on, and certain streets they were going to do half width.
Okay,
So
because
I'd
I
have
know
to
it's
see exactly.
usually a linear trench before they have to repave, but they literally have been digging these big holes
I
all the
think
way
they
down
took
the
that into
street.
consideration, depending on
Okay.
the size of the opening, so that
I'll
street.
give you a call
Yeah,
about the
It sounds like it
particular
might be a
streets.
half pave or a full pave.
Okay, thank you.
So that's what
Right.
they're looking for some.
So we
direction
just
from the
want,
council.
we just want to make sure council's okay with just continuing with these 5 streets, continuing the
No, yeah.
finished work.
So a change due to the reconstruction of
Right.
that particular area because of issues that they found while they were doing their work.
Correct.
So a slight change to the original discuss, okay, change. I got it. We're good.
We're okay with that?
I don't have issue. I mean, the council have any issue?
Okay, thank you.
All right,
And
anything else?
just, if I may, and I know it's getting late, but I just want to put in my 2 cents of the people who are retiring right now for the council. I know people think it, but I just want you to know that Damon and Kevin, who have young families in this town, they put a lot of time and effort into this job and occupation. They put a lot of sweat and equity and effort into this, and they always asked good questions. They were always there. They stepped up. I can't thank them enough for their support of myself. Just as a side note, Kevin, I did serve with your grandfather. that makes me either old or, but you're in his footsteps, okay? And you're in your dad's footsteps, and I just hope that you continue, staying active with the community. And Damon, I hope you still keep active with recreation and more with your families. And I know your families gave a lot up for you guys to be here and for serving the time you have. And I know it's a great sacrifice and effort, and I just want to thank you very much on behalf of myself. Thank you. That's it, Mayor.
All right, thank you. CFO's report.
Nothing, Madam Mayor, thank you.
Wonderful. Borough Engineer, Jay? Fabulous. Borough Attorney?
No report, Mayor, other than to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and a blessed New Year.
So, at this point, I'll open to the public for any and all comments.
Quickly, while he's coming up, this urban parks application, it was denied. Is that the baseball, softball fields at the soccer complex? Yes.
Yep.
We're getting a clarification from the people that we said we were getting the grant from, so I don't know in government, maybe the left hand isn't telling the right hand what's going on, but you should have seen that because it just came in today.
Yeah, I just saw.
Name and address for the record, please.
Stephen Bukovic, 165 Madison Street. I was wondering if you could tell everyone more about the request for a meeting to go over the...
It was just a request. It was a request to meet and discuss the professional appointments.
Is this a common request? Does this happen every year?
I think it does. I'll say it, in my opinion, whether it, personally, I don't know who else is including that. Again, I've only been in this seat 1 year. So,
Is that meeting open to the representatives of the other political party?
this is what, I don't know, because I don't have those discussions. This is where it goes back to, I believe that we need to make certain that all government decisions are without any political interference.
And would you be able to tell us more about what are the kind of things that are discussed? What are the particulars that are discussed at a meeting like this?
I haven't attended that meeting, so I don't know if there was a meeting that was held. I'm not certain. So I can't talk about something that I wasn't in attendance for.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? And for the record, I don't know if that meeting ever actually occurred. I don't know.
Make a motion to close the public portion.
Was there any other, I'm sorry, I saw you stand, but you weren't coming up? Okay, thank you. No. Roll call, I'm sorry, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hold on 1 second. Oh, yes, please.
Yeah, we just need like a 10-minute exec. No?
Oh, wait a minute. Let me just double check here. We could do it at the next meeting.
Next meeting?
We can do it at the next meeting.
I don't need any personnel.
Okay, so with no executive session, public portion was, did we make the motion for adjournment?
Yep, second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, ladies and gentlemen, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and we'll see you in the new year.
Not feeling well?
Should I leave the pens out, Jess, or should I put them in the drawer? Okay, 'cause No, it's the heat went on, wait a minute.
On January 1, yeah. January 3. But I need you to say this. That's important. I need reaffirmation.